Good morning and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast Morning Market Roundup with Chip Nellinger. Chip, man, big report coming out tomorrow. A lot of stuff swirling around that report. It's going to dictate kind of what happens through the rest of the year, kind of going into that January crop report. So, what are some of the numbers that the analysts are going to be looking at that are going to sway the market?
Yeah, so obviously, like you mentioned, Casey, this October crop report is a big report. They have enough data now. The crops are far enough along, and a lot of, at least I shouldn't say a lot, but some harvest activity will have actual harvested data. And the weights should be a lot better to get zeroed in on by the USDA. So this October crop report every year in, year out, is always important to kind of set the stage. The yields have been coming up. All right, now that we're this far along in crop maturity and harvest activity, is it actually big crop getting bigger and we're going to see an increase in yields? Or maybe did we overestimate due to ear weight size or whatnot and have to shave the crop back? The market expects increasing yields. The average estimate's about a half a bushel higher, both in corn and beans. Increases in carryout as well, about 50 to 55 million bushel increase in bean carryouts expected, about 174 million bushel increase in corn carryout is expected. Again, you can also always have surprises on these reports too, and you have to watch for that. There are some out there, the highest estimate in beans would be 55. That would be by far a new record and a big jump higher. I don't know if the bean market's prepared for that. And there is a school of thought out there that maybe the corn yields need to be shaved back a little bit due to several issues, disease, some test weight issues, down corn, and then a hot stretch, at least here in the Eastern Corn Belt, right at the end stages of the crop life cycle there that apparently looks like sucked some yield off the top end because we just had a stretch of really hot weather that that did a little bit of damage there late in the season, surprisingly. Always room for huge surprises, but the market is anticipating increasing yields, corn and beans both, bumps higher in carryout. We also get updates on world numbers and world carryout. Probably the most important there is going to be world wheat numbers and what they do with the Australian, Russian, and European wheat crops. They've had some issues there in all those regions in one way or another with dry weather, hot weather. So we'll see about that as well. Lots of numbers to digest. Again, we'll see where the dust settles and what the reaction to the market is. Sometimes it's not just what are the numbers, it's what's the market's reaction. Sometimes you can get, what seem like negative bearish numbers and the market is unchanged to higher and vice versa. So the reaction is important too. We've had a nice rally into this report. That's mostly as a result of a lot of rain around, slowing harvest progress. We are about on pace with average, but that's going to really slow the next week. There's been tremendous amounts of rain in the Western Corn Belt. There's been a fair amount of rain here in areas, particularly the northern half of Illinois, to really slow things down. Indiana's had some rain, and so we're going to fall behind the pace next week in harvest because just too much rain around. And so you've got that going as well. Are we going to keep this wet pattern? They had so much rain in the Western Corn Belt. I mean, they need more than 3 or 4 days. I mean, some of those areas have had, 12, 15 inches of rain in the last 3 weeks. So they need an extended period of sun and at least quit raining to think about getting back in the fields there. And that'll be something that's supportive as well. So world markets are flying all over. Election in Brazil. The Brazilian real currency has been flying all over. The dollar has been, having some volatility here. Interest rates are on the rise. Crude oil is, up near, couple-year highs in here and holding, well north of 70. And so there's a lot of things affecting these markets right now. And, 20 some hours, 27 hours away, we're going to have another one that really affects us with this October crop report here, 11 a.m. Central tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Okay, so two things I want to hit on. One is, you mentioned it earlier, you're talking about crop delays due to rain. I was talking to my mom and dad back around Wichita, and each one of them had been in that 6 to 9 inches of rain area, and they're trying to get soybeans cut right now and plant some wheat. And you, like you alluded to up there, you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of rain, depending on where you're at. So, what's the market seeing there? What are they? Is that you seeing that influence the market at all with this pretty significant rain delay we have here?
Yes, so that's a good point too. The oat market, we don't talk about oats very much. Sometimes they're a leading indicator of at least row crops in general. So that rain definitely in the northern plains where they grow a lot of oats should be planting right now. They can't get in. Oats have had a big rally. I think that's starting to be a little bit of a supportive factor to wheat as well, because same issue there. We need to be planting wheat right now. There's been a lot of rain around in areas, so I do think that that will start, if that continues, will start being a supportive influence on wheat. It for sure is on corn. Just historically, when you get into a real late wet cycle like this, it has a tendency to drag corn yields down a little bit. There's already stock quality issues widespread in corn, a lot of down corn. So there's multiple issues there. Wheat seeding, oat seeding, we should be planting now. It's wet. Should be getting the crop out on corn and beans. Delayed there. So there's a lot of issues with that. I mean, overall, it's good, right, for big picture, recharge the soils and subsoil moisture. There's a lot of dry areas around, but it's not coming at a real opportune time as far as getting wheat and oats in the ground and corn and beans out of the field.
Yeah. So how's the so Hurricane Michael's about to hit, and we've got some areas that just had a hurricane that is kind of tracking, going to loop back through and dump a bunch of rain through. What's the market's reaction to some of that stuff, especially on the hog side of the business, and even in looking at some of the dairy side of the business? That particular area has quite a bit of that production going on. So what are you hearing there, and what do you make of that?
Yeah, that's another issue. It seems like the last few years, and as far as hurricanes go, the market takes a little more of a measured approach. Those things are so hard to zero in what the official track's going to be, and there's been some big misses along the way. That the market kind of takes a wait and see. Let's just stay calm and see where this thing goes, and is it going to be as bad as what they say? And so they will very definitely affect. Same issue there, right? I mean, they're still cropping the fields in that path that is expected to go through. They're certainly not done by any stretch. They have, obviously they start earlier, so they're still cropping the fields and wheat being planted, and so it very definitely is going to affect things, particularly if there's wind, a lot of wind with it as it moves further inland. It looked to me, and I'm certainly not a weather or hurricane expert, that it may stay far enough, hopefully, away from that main area of the Carolinas that got so much rain. Let's hope so. They don't need more at this point. But we'll see. It will very definitely affect things, but so far it really hasn't done much because the market, in the case of hurricanes, just takes a wait and see because they're so hard to predict. It can lose steam at the last minute and kind of fizzle out, which is what you hope. And so just, I think we're maybe a few days away from seeing, what officially is going to happen from that hurricane and how much crop impact it's going to have.
Okay, so let's talk about the first half of the week here. When you look at the livestock market, what do you see? What did you see happen, Monday and Tuesday, and how do you expect that trade to go through the week?
Yeah, cattle markets have been a little bit choppy. Had a nice strong day, opened lower, Had a nice strong day Monday, surprisingly, but no follow through yesterday, and actually closed lower. But basically gave back all the gains from Monday. So we're kind of in no man's land here. We've had a nice rally over the last 2-3 weeks in cattle. I think there's some longs that have come in this market and maybe overextended us a little bit. Maybe due for a little more downside, but I get a sense that there's good buying interest in the cattle market. Hogs have held together well as well. The October contract has had a pretty straight up move. The deferreds have come along for the ride, but maybe not as straight up as October. October's getting ready to go off the board here in the next couple of weeks anyway, so that's really tied to whatever the cash lean hog index is doing. But the deferreds have held together well, and again, I think big picture probably do and would be healthy for both the hog and the cattle market to have a little bit of a correction lower, see where that buying interest comes in. And hogs and cattle both, as you move deeper into the fourth quarter and start talking about winter and going into next year, these numbers should should shrink a little bit, and we should see some better things. Back on the weather issue, that can start to be an issue as well. There's a lot of rain in areas of large feedlot production, and that's never a good thing. That slows weight gain down. You got mud. It becomes a performance issue. And so that can, eventually, slowly start to have an impact on this cattle too. So, that's something to keep in the back of our minds here as well. It hasn't been a huge issue yet. Sometimes it takes a few weeks to see that show up in the week to week, carcass weight numbers but that can be an issue if this wet pattern continues in the Central Plains where there's a lot of feedlot capacity.
Right on. Well, we've covered a lot of stuff here, and we've talked about a lot of different volatility, so never been a better time for a plan. If guys want to work on a plan or they want to discuss a plan with you, how would they do that, Chip?
Yeah, just real quick, Casey, before that, and this is right on that with having a plan, right? I mean, if you're in an area, and we're talking to our producers about this the last 2 or 3 days, if you're in an area that's blessed with really good yields and you have on-farm storage capacity, you're able right now to secure, depending on your yields, near $1,000 an acre gross in corn and $700+ an acre gross in beans. And that's really, what it comes down to. So people get clouded by, these markets are low, prices are low, it's, stuck in the mud here. But if you have a plan and to secure market carry, secure the storage and make your own on-farm storage pay, there's profitable levels right now. So having a plan is critical, and we'd love to chat with you. If you have questions, just call our office, 309-550-7213, and we'd love to tell you about how we might be able to improve your plan and help you execute better.
Right on. All right, Chip. Well, till probably catch back up again on Sunday where we kind of talk about the last half of the week and how that report affected the overall market, and we'll go from there. So till then, have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you then.
Hey, you too. It'll be an interesting chat Sunday, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll be a fun ride, I think, this week. Hopefully we'll see some bounce here. So, all right, Chip, take care of yourself.
All right, have a good week.
We'll see you.
See you.